The offense starts sluggish and finishes with a flurry. Late game heroics from Drew Aller and Keandre Lambert-Smith pushed the Nittany Lions past Indiana.
Once I caught it, my head went down. I was looking straight at the sideline. And I knew it was about 10 yards ago, so I'm like, yeah, I can tightrope this 10 yards. And yeah, made it happen.
The defense locks down the victory with a strip sack and a safety. Why there's no concern about a few leaks in the pass defense.
We've got quite a few guys on their roster from our area. We've got only a couple from their area.
Coach Loxley says it out loud. Penn State continues to beat Maryland on the recruiting trail and on the field. Why this year's Terps will not hide in their shells. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. The journey can be very different, sometimes bumpy. The end destination or goal remains the same, guys. A home victory over the Hoosiers. They get the winning score late in the fourth, and they're now 7-1. All is well.
Well, you could be Oklahoma, and you had the close call and lost. You could be one of those teams. You got the win. Enjoy it.
Win's a win. It's the greatest. At the end of the year, they don't ask you how you did it. Just did. What's your record?
Yep. And you mentioned, Jay, 3 programs in the top 17 lose to unranked teams last weekend. The offense delivers in the clutch. Nittany Lions are absolutely destroying opponents when they create turnovers, and a few cracks in the foundation of the defense emerge in our opening drive. Okay, so let's take a look as the offense delivers in the clutch. We said 311 pass attempts before we saw that, an interception by Drew Aller. But as it got down the stretch, they did what they needed to do.
Well, this is what we've been talking about for Aller since the season started. How is he going to do when there's adversity? And he made the throw he had to make, and they won the game.
Yeah, the big throw at the end was the throw of the game for sure.
You see it right here to Keandre Lambert-Smith, drops it in there with just about 4 or 5 minutes left in the final quarter, and then the defense comes on the field and finishes the job. Afterwards, we hear from both Aller and KLS about the game-winning hookup.
Most of those, my goal is just to allow the receiver to touch the ball, allow them to come down with it, make a play after the catch or a pass interference on the defense so we can move the chains again.
It was just great for me personally and the team, so that we can make big plays in critical moments of the game. I seen man coverage. I knew there was only one person that could stop me. And once I caught it, my head went down. I was looking straight at the sideline. And I knew it was about 10 yards ago. So I'm like, yeah, I can tightrope this 10 yards. And yeah, made it happen.
Yeah, huge moment for that connection. The defense would follow up with the strip sack for a safety to lock down the W.
Well, one of the things that really jumps out, you talk about the strip sack, the turnovers and those kind of things. Penn State has really made their hay this year on that. That's really the stat of the year has been what they've been able to do defensively to create opportunities for the offense, but also when the other team gets a play, they have shut it down every time.
They're cashing in on those turnovers, Tom.
That's the greatest thing. When they get the opportunity, they're making things happen from it, and they're not giving them up the other way either. So it's worked out great so far.
And we've seen this a couple of times on special teams. A punt return, they fumble the return, Penn State jumps on it, and then they go ahead and they score from there, Jay.
When you look at the two, Penn State versus their opponents, interceptions, fumbles, fourth down stops, 24 of those situations. The opponents have only managed to do that 7 times. That's plus 17, essentially, and a turnover margin. But it's not only that, it's what they do with it. When you take a look at the difference, 108 points off those things. Average drive of 31.1, but look at the other side. The opponents have had 7 opportunities. They've only gained 44 yards and only 13 points. That's the ball game. That's the stat of the year.
Fantastic, and you got to give when the defense does get some adversity, they go in and shut it down.
I like how you included the fourth down stops, Jay. We did see a few mistakes by the Nittany Lions pass defense, and the Hoosiers capitalized with several long touchdown passes, but those are the risks of man-to-man coverage, Tom.
Yeah, it's risk-reward always when you play man-to-man. You're trying to pack the box and do different things, and that's what happens sometimes. It's not always good, but you've got to play it.
It's not an issue that concerns Coach Franklin. He says there's more than enough evidence the scores are isolated incidents.
I think there's enough body of work of who we've been as a defense to feel very comfortable and very confident with that. You had one play where a guy made a phenomenal throw and the receiver made a great catch and run, they're going to make plays too. They're on scholarship too, right?
When it matters the most, the defense steps up and gets the job done against Indiana. Now, unlike other sports that are back on the court or the ice a few days later, the players had to wait an entire week after the disappointing performance in the Horseshoe. Here's Andrew Callista on the bounce back from the Nittany Lions.
What to talk about? What to talk about? The Penn State fan base. Why not? A win against Indiana. Some are still not happy. Coming off a loss, Penn State 31.5-point favorites. We know James Franklin doesn't care, but the Nittany Lions looked sluggish. We don't have to go through the details. We saw it. The important thing is Penn State back on the field found enough mojo to win a game late, and these guys need it just to get back out there.
We just wanted to come together, and that's what we did against Indiana. They were a tough team. We had some challenges on offense and defense, but we still made a way to come on top, and I think that's huge for our team.
That felt long, but to get back here with our fans, Beaver Stadium, get a big win against a good team like Indiana, it means a lot. Just it keeps the momentum going to the next week.
Now, let's get to why some are unhappy. Big favorites and a close game. But as Coach pointed out, they found a way to win. And 3 ranked teams did lose to unranked opponents last week. Oregon State, North Carolina, and Oklahoma lost to Kansas. Kudos to the clutch Jayhawks. Nittany Lion faithful are asking, where are their upsets? Don't get me wrong, every win matters. Now, I contend the new look Big Ten will help that feeling with a tougher schedule and better opponents week in and week out. And I still stand by my assessment that Indiana and Maryland don't matter in respect to the fans' feelings. The only dish to satisfy those still upset with big game performance is to go out and beat Michigan. It's as simple as that.
Well, those fans still have to wait a week because we've got to talk about the Terps yet. Maryland will be the highest rated offense Penn State has seen so far this year. Our coaches shows us how they're able to spread the wealth to a handful of talented playmakers. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Opening Drive is sponsored by your local Ford store. Visit buyfordnow.com today.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. The Terps are one of those puzzling Big Ten opponents. Looks really explosive and dangerous one week and then falls way behind and loses to Northwestern on the road. We need some help for this deep dive on the Terrapins. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, these guys do not hide in their shells when it comes to offense.
No, one of the things they've got a great group of skill guys, and they're going to use them, and they're going to go really past the run, past the ball to set up the run. But let's take a look at the numbers, Maryland's offense by the numbers. Really solid in almost every category, not really running the ball that much, but they want to come out and chuck the ball first to set up the run game, Tom.
Oh, they're going to spread this thing out and pick their best matchup. That's what they're going to do. I don't think they can beat Penn State 11-on-11. They're going to find the matchup one-on-one.
So let's take a look at some of the guys to look for. We talk about those skill guys. Their top 3 wideouts, their tight end, and their running back all rank in the top 18 in terms of receptions in the Big Ten. That's really, really impressive. It shows you how much they're going to throw this ball around. Now, let's talk about it. They go really kind of outside in. They want to find out if they can get matchups in the pass game against you. Here's your running back. Here's a wideout. Here's a tight end. Here's a wideout. Here's a wideout. So you spread out all over the place. And, Tom, you got to figure out who you're going to put on who.
And they want to find out who's on this guy and who's on this guy, because then they're going to know who's left outside there.
And here, they just take the ball right now. You're all out there covering all the wideouts. They flip it to the tight end underneath. A little pitch play I can still make, 1 for 1 for 15 yards. I wish they had that stuff. I'd have been a legend. Okay, now, after you see them spread them out, now they bring the running back in, and one of the things they'll do is they'll take the running back from empty and bring it back in, which creates adjustments. And now to get the ball to their wideouts with, again, more easy throws, big pick play here, Tom, and I know you love these.
You're not allowed to call it a pick. You know that.
Well,
okay.
If he catches it behind the line, you're good, which he does. But take a look at this one now. Really tough to get through all that traffic.
It's a rub. It's a rub. It's not a pick.
Yeah, but tough for those DBs, Tom, to get through all that traffic. Again, another short throw, gain of 15, 16, 20 yards, whatever it is. Again, love seeing that for your quarterback. Again, right now we've shown you 2 plays. 2 for 2 for about 40 yards. So now let's take a look at the last element. Now, same group, 3 wideouts in the game. Now you got the tight end lineup as a fullback, running back here. Now that gives you some run game stuff. And off the run game fake, now they come back with a screen, Tom. Talk about how hard that is.
That's very hard to do because now the tight end's very interested in their offense because he does a lot of different things for them. He plays fullback, he plays tight end, he can flex him out. He creates matchup problems. And this is one of the things that's very tough is you play the pass and then you get this screen over here. Everybody's rushing and you get some opening lanes.
Now let's take a look at the other side defensively. This is where Maryland's better than they've been in the past. 30th in the country in points allowed, top 40 in a number of categories. But situationally, the next thing you want to look at is what they've done. Third down defense, they're good. Yards per rush, sacks, 12th in the country. Red zone defense, they only allow a TD less than half the time in the red zone. That's good. Penn State's going to have to do that. They want to get into they're going to find out if you can match up with these guys. If they can cover these guys now, Tom, you're in a 9-on-7 game.
You're in a 9, and they're not afraid to play zero either. They're going to take their chances in this to make Penn State one-dimensional and see if they'll just stop the run game and get to the pass game.
And watch what happens here on the run game. Because those wideouts are taken away, now that safe frees up that 8th guy to make the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. Tom mentioned they are not afraid to come blitz you and come after you. Penn State's done a good job getting their running backs into the pass game. Here, they blocked the guy covering the running back, and now it's off the races, Tom.
Yeah, that's not a good situation right there.
No, and this was a big play in the game for Northwestern. And again, these are the kind of things that look for Penn State to find ways to get Singleton and Allen out in the open field against linebackers because they should have the same kind of ability here. A lot of missed tackles from
Well, that's the one thing
I
I wanted to point out. There's a lot of missed tackles in that second. If Penn State does get into the open field, they're going to get some big plays because they're not great tacklers in their secondary.
Yeah, let's take about the last element of it. Third down, we mentioned they're really good third down defense. They put a smaller, faster pass rush group, and we talked about 12th in the country in sacks. Here they show a single high like they're going to blitz, and they go and they confuse the quarterback from Ohio State, Tom.
Look for some screens and draws.
Yeah, they should. Penn State may have to do some things to change up the pass rush, move the pocket. But again, here's Kyle McCord looking downfield, thinking he's got one coverage, got a different coverage, and they're fast enough from front to get it.
All right, thanks, guys. This year's Terps team resembles many of the others. Unpredictable, and they usually shrink in the biggest moments. 66-3, 38-3, 59-0, 31-14, and 30-0. Those are the last 5 results in non-pandemic years in this series. All Penn State wins. The Terps are trying to keep up in the Big Ten. But Coach Loxley says it out loud. They're losing to the Nittany Lions on the field and on the recruiting trail.
They've got quite a few guys on their roster from our area. We've got only a couple from their area. Very familiar with their program. They're very familiar with us. Obviously, their defense is one of those top-tier defenses. They play a lot of man coverage, which we have to be able to defeat man coverage this week.
2 shutouts in the past 4 games against Maryland, 42-3-1 overall versus the Terps in this series. Doesn't mean you take them lightly. It is a 3:30 p.m. kickoff. Up next, a slight change to our Impact interview as we make it interactive. Our coaches field some of your fan questions. Topics include the strength of the Big Ten, the new college football playoff rankings, all coming up. And make sure to keep sending us your pride picks, especially the ones with one of our coaches in it. Scrap looking good as always. Pride picks are all over our website, NittanyGameWeek.com. We'll have more coming up later in the show. You're watching Nittany Game Week.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. We're going to change up the game plan a little bit, and we're going to offer an interactive Impact interview, and we're going to interview our coaches right here because we have these brilliant minds that we need to pick. And our fans have submitted a bunch of questions. Yes, I'm talking about you two guys. Our fans have submitted a couple of questions, and we want to promote the interactive part of Nittany Game Week and answer some of these questions. So let's get right to it. And the first one comes from Daryl. He asks, since Penn State won the Big Ten in 2016, Ohio State and Michigan have won all of the Big Ten titles. You guys have mentioned before that the Big Ten was a deeper conference in years past. Why do you think that was? Jay, we'll start with you.
Well, I think if you look at the graphic, I mean, if you look at the first 10 years, Penn State was in the Big Ten. Eight of the 11 teams won a share of the Big Ten title, went to got the automatic BCS bid. That's pretty impressive. Since then, it hasn't been that balanced. I think part of it is Ohio State and Michigan have done a great job in the last 6 years. Penn State's been just behind them. And then the rest of the league, I think, is they're all struggling to kind of keep up. It's not because of facilities. I think you've just got a couple of programs that have put a stamp on this thing and said we're going to distance ourselves from everybody, and I think that's part of it.
Well, the one thing that's happened too is, and you said it to me, the league from top to bottom isn't what it used to be. It's not even close. Just the stat that he mentioned. There's 3 teams. It's Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan that are the teams in the Big Ten. The league has changed drastically, in my opinion, because you just don't. The competitive level has changed. What you were playing every week, that's the one thing that's really I've noticed the biggest difference in the Big Ten.
And I think the other thing too, in those first 10 years, Joe Tiller came to Purdue and had a unique style and recruited nationally to get to that style. Barry Alvarez had a style and recruited to that style and had a system and was consistent. So there wasn't the same turnover that you're seeing in coaches now. Everybody wants to fire somebody every 2 or 3 years. So some of these guys were able to kind of put their stamp on a program. You look at Rutgers now; they're starting to get where they're bowl eligible because they've been patient. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, our next question comes from Alvin. The college football playoff rankings just came out. Penn State is number 11. In the other polls, they're number 9. This doesn't seem fair. Why is there a difference? Tom, any idea you want to take this one?
I have no idea why there's a difference, because I think Penn State certainly deserves to be in this playoff picture. I don't understand why they are where they are, but I think that will change within the next few weeks.
I think part of it is non-conference scheduling, and I think we've talked about that over time. Ole Miss is right ahead of Penn State. They played Tulane. Now, on paper, Tulane is not a great team in non-conference scheduling, but they're ranked 23rd, 24th. So there's a non-conference win against a ranked team. Some of the teams ahead of them, Oklahoma has a win over Texas. That's a big win. Alabama has some wins over ranked teams. So I think that's next year when the Big Ten is deeper. I think that's going to be interesting. I think, Washington right now at 5 would have legitimate in saying, look, we played Oregon and beat them. Who is Florida State beating? Florida State's big win is LSU. I don't think that's as good a win. So, but again, it's early.
Yeah.
But just for fun, it'd be fun if you take these rankings and look towards the 12-team playoff next year. We're not even having this argument, and now Penn State is the 11 seed going to Eugene, Oregon to play. And now, if they win the game, you're happy. If they lose, there's no bowl game. So that's the other part of the thing that's going to come.
A lot of things to be worked out, but I can't wait. Home playoff games.
I mean, look at some of those games.
Home playoff games are going to be fantastic
Alabama,
next year.
Oklahoma. I mean,
there's some issues to work out. What happens with the Pac-12? What happens with the team that loses an initial playoff game? Do they then go to another bowl game? So there's a lot of things that have to be talked about. But the one thing, Tom, and you mentioned you don't know the reason why, and I don't understand how Ohio State can be number 1 because the Penn State win is such a great win, and then yet Penn State's back at 11, but they're helping Ohio State, but they're being hurt. So I think a lot of this gets worked out when you have a deeper Big Ten conference and you have more ranked opponents.
And even Ohio State, they lucked out because if Notre Dame could count to 11, who knows what happens there.
But at the end of the day, they win that one. Right. And I think that's one of those things people look at. You schedule them and you beat them on the road.
All right. So we go to our final question. It's about the offense versus the defense. And Jordan asked, over the years, there have been Penn State teams that were really good on defense and special teams. They've had offenses that protected the ball and won games when needed. This team seems to fit that bill. We're 7-1. Why is everyone so mad? And can it be tough to keep a team from pointing fingers at each other when they do lose? And in this case, just the one game.
7-1 and miserable as hell. You lost the team that's number 1 in the country on the road. I mean, the first series of the game last week, booing. Let's just let this team play out. But I think leadership. One of the things Joe was really good at was, hey, look, we're going to build on defense, special teams, then offense. This particular year, there were some years where he said, look, we've got a great offense, so we're going to be more. It all depends. This team is clearly more reliant on defense, and that's as long as everybody in the program understands that. Then I think you shouldn't have any problems.
Exactly. As long as everybody in the team understands how we're going to win these games, There are no problems. You're going to win with defense, kicking, and your offense, and that's just the way it's going to be.
We hope you liked that change of pace, kind of an unbalanced line or spread offense, change up the tempo. And don't forget to check out NittanyGameWeek.com. You can find all of our impact interviews from this season and past seasons there. Conversations with Todd Blackledge, Blair Thomas, and Justin King are just some of what you'll find, along with our other web-exclusive content. Still to come, the Nittany Lions add another one to the win column, and that counts for something. We recognize some late-game heroics to finish off the Hoosiers when we hand out the scrap medal. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are Inn, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit theweareinn.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
Let's get to it, our scrap medal. And you know what? We show you this interception because we hadn't seen one before in 311 attempts from Drew Aller. But it's the response, Tom, that you really liked to pick him for the scrap medal.
Love the response. This is one of the most coveted awards in all of football. He's winning here today. 20 for 31, 3 touchdown passes with 3 drops for 210 yards. Heck of a day, and he ends with the long pass to win it all.
Yeah, coming from adversity at Ohio State, a little bit of adversity in the game, and he gets the job done. Jay, you've thrown your share of interceptions. I'm sorry, did I say that? It had to impress you the way that he responded, though.
Listen, this is when you find out what you got at quarterback, when the chips are down. That's when you know what you got.
Yep, well, and hopefully they got something really good because he had a nice performance after that. We enjoy bringing Nittany Lions fans together. One way to do that is with your depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com. We're connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers. Make sure you check out the depth chart for ideas on where to eat, travel, and shop. And we're just past the midway point of our Nittany Game Week season. We have a lot to share with you each and every week, and it includes much more than just our 30-minute show. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web exclusive content. And we finish with some pride picks, one that may include Scrap over there. He's always looking good, so make sure you send them to us. Show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.